Good afternoon, guys, and happy Thursday to all of your sunshiny faces, guys. The only reason I remember what day it was because the Bears played tonight and they had the Thursday night football game. So yeah, they ended up doing really well, surprisingly, which I was very happy to watch. And I thought Matthew was gonna be home, and I was like, oh, like, this is so awesome, like, he's gonna be home, we're gonna watch the Bears game and, you know, all this stuff. And he decided to stay at school, and he's gonna come back on Saturday because he's got a Secret Santa thing, I think, with his fraternity, plus he's studying for finals, which is in, like, he has this week of school left, and then he only has like a few days of school next week. Like, I think he only has finals like 2 or 3 days maybe next week or something like that. So he might be back as soon as like Thursday or Friday or something. But the only thing is that because he'll be moving out of his dorm in what was I gonna say, for like this semester, and then he's moving into his fraternity this coming semester. So he has to have all of his stuff moved out over break, which is like kind of a pain. Like, and most likely he's going to have to bring everything back home and then move it all the way back out there again. Like, I don't think he can just like, oh, I'm gonna just, you know, take like this stuff and leave this or whatever. Like, he's gonna be having to bring everything home and bring it all back instead of, like I said, him just like, you know, he's however far away from, you know, the fraternity to, you know, his dorm right now. He's gonna have to, you know, instead of just being able to, you know, take it right over there, he's gonna have to bring everything all home for break, bring it all back, which will, he is off for I think a month again, same as last year. But yeah, that'll kind of be a little bit of a pain, like all of his stuff. And then he's got to make sure that he doesn't like forget anything that he's going to need to bring back, and then remember to bring it all back. And yeah, so anyways though, guys, I forgot where I was going with that whole thing. So he only has a few days left though that I know of, but he's going to be home on Saturday because I know he has to work, I believe, on Sunday. Anyway, so yeah, but that's kind of cool. Like, he only has, like I said, probably a few days left of school, and then he's on break, which I told you guys too. Jack went to the doctor Tuesday, maybe? Yeah, that's when he went, because we went to go see the movie, and then my mom took him afterwards. They gave him some stuff and everything like that, you know, because he didn't, I don't think he had bronchitis. No, maybe they didn't test him for bronchitis. They tested him for strep and for the flu or something like that, and they said he didn't have that. So the last, you know, Tuesday, then Wednesday, and today as well, Jack was still running a fever, and like, he'd, you know, been taking whatever medicine and stuff like that. Plus, he'd been running a fever pretty much the week before that as well. And so the doctor ended up saying that he possibly has mono, which is like, oh, that's lovely. I was like, please stay away from me, don't share any germs with me. You know, so yeah, that stinks, which could last 4 to 6 weeks. So if he's already like into week 1 or 2, probably going on week 2 now, again, he could have another 2 weeks or another 4 weeks possibly. And so yeah, but the thing is that they can't test it until like he's into week 2 of having it, which again, the doctor was like, I'm probably sure he's gonna have it because he is, again, had a fever for like 10 days or something like that, 8 or 10 days I think it's been. And again, they went yesterday or 2 days ago and gave him stuff to take, which he took like an inhaler because it's all like in his chest and stuff like that. And then they gave him some other type of medicine. So they gave him like an antibiotic that hopefully will start working so that it can help like with the mono. But basically, I guess there's like not a whole lot that you can do really. You know, you just kind of have to, again, like take, I guess they can give you antibiotics for it, but again, I don't think there's a whole ton, like, you know, it's not like, oh, it's just gonna be like a few days and take this magic cure and it's gonna be better. So yeah, he'll be home most likely for the next 4 to 6 weeks or whatever. One of my friends had it, and I thought she had to take like summer class there. She was like super behind and stuff like that, and like almost didn't pass her classes because she missed like so many days. Again, I think she's missed like a whole month or almost 2 months or something like that, which stinks. I had pneumonia when I was little, like maybe I was like 10, 11, 12. Like, I don't think I was in my teens yet. But I feel like Jack was maybe born already. Or maybe my mom, like, it was right before my mom had Jack, so maybe I was like 8 or 9. I don't totally remember, but I know we lived at this house, so I had to have been older than like 5, 6 years old. But yeah, so I know that I had that when I was little, and that stunk because it was another one of those things where like it just seemed like I could not get over it, and like I had a cough for forever. Which stunk. So yeah, it's gonna stink. And like I said too, it's like right during the holidays too, so it's like we can't like go and like, oh, let's go see the lighting of the Christmas tree, or let's go see, you know, like, you know, doing the Brookfield Zoo light thing like we did last year and stuff like that. Like, we're not gonna be able to do probably most of that stuff, like anything outside, and then even stuff inside too. Like, his cough sounds really bad, like really nasty. So yeah, but he has like an inhaler for that, which he's never taken an inhaler before, so my mom's trying to explain to him how to use it today, or no, yesterday I think, or Tuesday or something like that. And I heard her, she's like, no, you have to take like a deep, you have to like breathe out, and then you know, so that you can like breathe in and stuff like that. And he was like not getting it at all. He's like, okay. And she's like, no, like a really deep breath out so that you can take a really deep breath in. And he was like not understanding it. So I think that, you know, he's been on other stuff too, because he might have bronchitis. I don't know. But I was like, how did he get it though? Because like at the beginning it just seemed like he was like, oh, I kind of have a cold and stuff like that. And then it just seemed like it was like not going away. And I was like, you guys might want to check, because I think I told you guys too, like I think it's just from him coughing. But what like I noticed the most was like his voice sounded like he was starting to like lose it a little bit, like he had a frog in his throat or something like that. And I know when I got strep like a few years ago, that's what I noticed in me, and that's when I was like, you know what, maybe I should probably go to the doctor, because, you know, for me it wasn't right. And I wasn't coughing that bad really, it was just like all of a sudden I couldn't talk, like I could not make any words out, like that's what it sounded like. And it just was like so hard to like do that. But I didn't have like a super bad cough that I remember, I don't think. But that's what I noticed, and I was like, you might want to like, you know, maybe see what's going on then with him, you know, if he still is like sounding like that. And like my mom's like, oh, like he still has a fever. And honestly, I'm thinking we have got like a really old, like, you know, digital thermometer. I was like, maybe it's just off. Like I wasn't even taking that to heart. But then, you know, when I noticed like him sounding all weird and funky, that's when I was like, yeah, he does kind of sound weird. And then that's when I was like, you guys might want to like, you know, I reminded my mom, like when I had strep, that's what I sounded like. And she's like, you're right, maybe we should take him to the doctor. And then they did. And then again on Tuesday, and they said, you know, oh, it's probably this. And then when she's like, he's still running a fever, they took him back today, and the doctor again tested, and it came back, I think he came back negative for mono, but he said that again, it wouldn't, for what they're testing for, they wouldn't be able to figure out until it's like 2+ weeks or something like that that he's had it, to be sure that he has it. But they gave him antibiotics anyway for it. I think, like I said, I don't know, guys, I'm not a doctor. But it just, like I said, it stinks because, you know, there's like, when is he supposed to go Christmas shopping? Like he was like, oh, I want to go Christmas shopping this week, and now we're like, you can't leave the house, like, you know, stay up in your room, you're gonna be, you know, locked away. Like, I mean, he's kind of sleeping most of the time anyway, or just like watching YouTube or whatever anyway. So, but again, I feel like the schoolwork thing would be what I would personally be most scared about, because I'd be like, I'm gonna miss like almost a month worth of school, like, and not know what the teacher's teaching me. Like, that's, you know, again, to me that would be scary. But I did want to tell you guys too, because there, you know, I was telling you guys a little bit yesterday in yesterday's vlog that we had some family stuff come up, and my grandpa, actually on my dad's side, had passed away yesterday, which we weren't as close as, like, you know, my grandma, my mom's side, you know, where she literally lived in our house with us. That's why when we found out that she was like sick and everything like that, I think that was the hardest. And there was other things that went into that too. But my grandpa actually, I guess on like Saturday, was actually choking and like on food that he was eating, and actually ended up getting the Heimlich and caused him to actually have a heart attack, which then ended up causing like a brain bleed and all this kind of stuff. And so they said basically like that he was on life support and stuff like that, and they were like running tests kind of like over the weekend and everything, and then yesterday night he ended up passing away. So it's been a little like just somber sort of. Again, like with my dad's side of the family, we don't see them quite as often, so it's not like, you know, like, oh my gosh, like they're not going to be here for Christmas and stuff like that, you know, and all this kind of stuff. Because again, my mom's side of the family is the side of the family we probably see the most. We went to my cousin's wedding this past spring or summer or whatever it was, which we didn't see them there at the wedding, but the rest of my dad's family, like his siblings and stuff like that, were all there, and my cousins and everything, and that was the first time we'd seen them in quite some time. It wasn't family that we saw all that often. And again, like my grandma, who literally lived in our house and, you know, was a part of our daily lives up until she moved into her assisted living, which was where my grandpa was living, not the same place, but he was living at a different assisted living, and so, you know, it was just like, you know, kind of, again, just sort of been somber the last few days, only because like my dad knew that they were going to have to go and, you know, to the hospital and everything like that, because he was on life support and stuff like that. And so that's what they ended up going for yesterday, and then he passed away shortly after they ended up actually leaving last night. And so he, like, his siblings were there, his brother and sister, but, you know, my dad was like talking, and he's like, maybe it's something like good that came out of it, was that, like, you know, we will be able to see them and, you know, interact with like them more, because again, you know, we're friends on Facebook and stuff like that with both of my aunt and uncle, and my other aunt and uncle too, their spouses, and then most of my cousins too from my dad's side. But again, we don't really get together or anything like that all of that often, and so that's why my aunt like had mentioned, I think my dad was saying something like, oh, we should try and get together for like the holidays and stuff like that, because again, normally it's not something that we do all that often, and so normally it's with my mom's side of the family, but that's just like, you know, those kind of like, maybe something good can come out of this. But again, it's just everything at our house has been sort of a little somber lately, and I've actually been diving into a little bit more family research too, because we had to look up where family of his is also buried as well, because it was so sudden. My dad doesn't really necessarily know what they're planning, what the plan was for like a, you know, end of life sort of care sort of thing, or, you know, burial, funeral, all that kind of stuff, and exactly what was going on with it. My grandma, obviously, because she had much more time ahead of time, had set all that stuff out and had planned it. You know, she knew before she had went on what was that called, hospice care, so she had all the plans all laid out and everything like that, and actually had made deposits to her funeral while she was still living, and again, because this was so sudden, like, they didn't have anything and there's nothing to know about. So my dad was asking like, what cemetery was like his parents in and stuff like that, and obviously I have a lot of that stuff already because I've done so much family research. So he was able to call the cemetery. They don't have any plots that, you know, available plots for the family there, because again, we really didn't know where any of the information was and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been a little chaotic. Plus again, Jack is sick. Plus, you know, just kind of that atmosphere has been a little, you know, off right now. And it's still sad, you know, because he was my grandpa and everything like that, even though again, we weren't, like, it wasn't a super close relationship and everything like that, or, you know, people that we saw all that often. It's just been a little, you know, everything's been a little off. So yeah, you know, and like my dad too, who's normally not the type of person that's really like down, seems a little bit more, you know, and just a little overwhelmed, I think too, with like everything that he has to coordinate stuff with siblings about, you know, again, all this kind of stuff. So I think that it's been like I said, a little overwhelming. My mom's been like trying to help the best she possibly can too, because again, a lot of the stuff she went through with my, so my mom's been trying to figure out like, you know, where and what places to do things through and stuff like that. And the only difference though is that my grandparents on my dad's side are Catholic, and so my grandma wasn't, and so obviously there's some different procedures that, you know, take place in like a funeral and stuff like that through the Catholic Church and everything, that are a little bit different. And like, you know, again, doing, you know, all of his family's buried in a Catholic cemetery, you know, having like mass and all that kind of stuff. I think that's what that's called. You know, everything like that, and doing, you know, whatever the church service and stuff is, that mass, I think. You know, all of that kind of stuff. Just, you know, there's different traditions than what my grandma went through. And we honestly, I don't even remember what it was called. I honestly think it was called a memorial service. It was a memorial service. We didn't have a funeral or a wake because it was just, she was cremated. So there wasn't like anything really special, you know, like a few hours into it, some people said some stuff, and that was, you know, we actually went out for pizza afterwards, which was another thing my grandma was really big about. She was like, I want you guys to go out, everybody to go out for pizza afterwards. So obviously, I'm going to say the traditions were probably very different in what my grandma wanted versus, you know, a traditional Catholic, you know, funeral service and everything like that. Thinking about it now, guys, my grandma honestly wanted us to all go out for pizza after her funeral, memorial service thing. Which, like, now going back on it and thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? I don't know that many other people would be like, you know, she made this very clear too. She was like, I want to make sure that there's money put aside to treat everybody to pizza afterwards, which is honestly probably the funniest thing I've ever thought of, because my grandma was always big on, like, in our house, she'd always be like, oh, I want to treat, like, you know, get pizza tonight or get ice cream tonight. Like, that was her big thing. And honestly, I feel like we don't do that as much anymore, only because she's not here to be like, you know, normally she'd do it because she wanted it, she wanted ice cream or she wanted pizza, so she'd be like, I'm gonna treat everybody to it, when it was really her that wanted it. So the fact that I think she did that as her final treat was very, very symbolic. But anyways, guys, I will see you all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, would love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye, guys.